presents this program in color.
10 hours shoving a 2-hour bag.
Hold it. I think you're going to like this picture.
Ready? Go.
Oh, we're going to go. Just how far remains to be determined. Thank God. Fans talking to fans. Here on the score. How you doing, everybody? Murph with you from now until 2 o'clock. Driven to you by Chevy Drives, Chicago.com. Let's see, about 1 hour from now, we'll have the editor over at Baseball America, Jim Callis, joins us almost every week. James, a great guy. He likes to get the national view of the Cubs and the Sox and the rest of baseball. After that, in the 1 o'clock hour, going to talk Blackhawks. What a game last night. Heartbreaking, yes. Sort of anticipated as you watch the game. You go, I don't know if this is going to work out well. Oh, we do have Sox tickets to give away between now and 2 o'clock. Chris Cook will join me. Beat reporter, Chicago Tribune, covers the Blackhawks.
Mild mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper.
But let's do this. Let's leave the first hour unencumbered. Let's leave the first hour guest-free. Let's go fan talk. Fans talking to fans. I'm going to have to preface by saying I'm a little irritated. But, you know, at a young age like mine, I have many, many years when I get old to become irritated. So I try not to become irritated. So I'm not going to be irritated, but I want to find out something. Now, this is sort of a bigger picture topic, and I think you can handle it. I think you're up to it. We are the Thinking Fan Station, Muse Radio 670. We do not have traffic and weather together here in the Murph Show. Now, I could start this any one of a million directions, but I'm going to talk about the fact that a sad thing to me in our society, but most of you, the younger crew out there, doesn't give a rat's rooty tooty to steal from Dad Jiggets. Newspapers are dying. And there won't be newspapers the way we know them to hold them and read them in a few more years. And that's the march of time. Can't be stopped. You cannot stop progress. However, when an industry is dying, and a lot of media, including ours, is right now looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, don't get me wrong. When an industry is dying, ethics go out the window. When an industry is dying, integrity erodes as business and money coming in erode with it. So this is not a negative statement towards our Chicago media, but it is an observation, and I'd like to hear from you in a few moments. I state that ethics and integrity have eroded for the fact that revenue is down. Well, revenue is down in all businesses. But there's panic set in, which is understandable and to be expected. Remember the 6 steps of any organization. You could be in sales. You could be working at a retail store. You can be in any industry. Remember the 6 steps of any program that you might initiate or your business, the flow. Number 1 through 6, you always start out with number 1, optimism. This is newspapers. Optimism and enthusiasm, hundreds of years ago. Recently, they worked into the area of disillusionment. Then number 3 is panic. Number 4 is search for the guilty. Number 5, and this is any job you're at, punishment of the innocent. In other words, let's say you're in sales at your company, and a new sales manager comes in, right? Step number 1, he comes in, here's the new program, oh, it's going to be great. Optimism and enthusiasm. Number 2, disillusionment. Number 3, panic. Number 4 is search for the guilty. Number 5 is punishment of the innocent. And number 6 is reward and honor for the non-participants. Right now, the newspapers are at step 5, punishment of the innocent. In many ways, they are trying to stay in business, which is what they should do, and try to sell newspapers, which is fine. But I don't think right now they're thinking the way they used to with ethics and integrity. Here's where I want to get your reaction. What was, in your opinion, the big story yesterday at Wrigley Field? Oh, Murph, Zambrano's nuts. Huh? Oh, Murph, you know, El Toro Loco, the crazy bull. He's nuts. He's crazy. Oh, see, now it's fun. That sells newspapers. This guy's out of his mind. You should tie him down. Zambrano's crazy. That'll sell papers. Sports editors around the world unite.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
You know what the real story was yesterday? Here's how, years ago, in my opinion, the headlines would have been today. And here's what the storyline, in my opinion, is. Umpire instigates and agitates by bumping Cubs star pitcher near riot erupts. That's how I would have done it. The umpire, see, how much have you heard about Carlos Zambrano, he throws the ball. That was wrong. He threw his glove. He threw his glove. No one's ever thrown their freaking glove before. You've never done it? There's never been a major... Hey, in the old days, you watch the old World Series highlight films. At the end of the inning, they'd throw their glove, keep it just back there on the field, run in. He threw his glove, Murph. He threw the ball almost into the bleachers. Oh, man, suspend his ass. Why is he going to be suspended? That's what I want to ask, number one. Why is Carlos Zambrano going to be suspended? Because the newspapers say so? Because your sports media says so? All right. Do you suspend a guy for throwing his glove? You can. Anytime you throw equipment, the umpire, you're out of the game. I think the rule is when you throw your equipment, you're immediately thrown out of the game. I didn't know that it's an automatic suspension when you throw equipment. I didn't know that. Maybe I missed it. I miss a lot. Miss a little, miss a lot. He beat up the Gatorade drink dispenser, Murph. You think Bud Selig cares that he beat up the Gatorade? He might. He might. I don't know. Bud won't talk to me.
Bud Selig declined to talk to us.
A lot of people won't talk to us. So I want to ask you first, if you want to text me, what do you think, Jay Zawoski? Y for yes?
Y for yes, N for no.
And that's easier for everybody.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Y or N? Is it important to the story that the umpire bumped Zambrano first? That's all I want to ask. Because it should be 100% yes. I don't know how anyone could sit there and text me in good conscience, actually believing it. Little ethics, little integrity. I don't know how anybody could say, no, Murph, it's not important to the story that the umpire instigated, agitated, and initiated, because that's a horse crap story if you say that, right?
Carlos was ejected for supposedly bumping home plate umpire Mark Carlson. Carlson is moving into Zambrano right there. Contact is made, and only then does Carlos push back with his right arm. Hopefully Major League Baseball will review this video very carefully. Carlos did not instigate that contact. Mark Carlson was moving into him.
All right, now, question, the highlights there. Great job, as always, Bob Brenly, alongside Lenny Casper, WGN Good Old Channel 9. Now, the question would be, and if you want to give me a call, you're welcome to. But I don't think we're going to get a lot of action because everyone finds this story much more fun and compelling to go to the easy line and say, Zambrano? Carlos Zambrano?
I said cuckoo. Yes, I'll say it again. Cuckoo.
Thank you, Mayor. See, that's more fun. That sells papers. Zambrano made contact with the umpire. But no one is mentioning, yes, after the umpire bumped him first. That doesn't seem to be important anymore, which is fine. I'm not here. I'm not the gatekeeper of the stinking media. I can't control what the Tribune and Sun-Times want. Do you remember the day that Milton Bradley, and I know Sox fans, you want to be involved in this, because you, I'm sure, are enjoying to no end the pile-on. Well, you should. You hate the Cubs. What's interesting is, for many, many years, guys like Southside Bob, the great Sox fan, remember, and you, Sox fans, for many years, you would call up correctly and say, you know what? I took my ruler out, and there were 212 inches this week of Cubs talk in the paper, and there was only 189 inches of Sox talk, and you were correct. What's interesting now is both teams get equal billing, I believe. Both teams get equal space or time. Sounds like the definition of propinquity. Everyone gets equal space and time, pretty much. Here in the store, obviously, we carry White Sox baseball, so we have many more hours devoted to Sox talk that are pre-orchestrated. That's understandable, just as the Cubs flagship, has their games. That's fine. But now what's happened is the sports media in this town, for whatever reason, has found great sport to pick on the Cubs. And they must feel that it's going to help them sell newspapers, because newspapers are dying, as is a lot of media right now in trouble. And to slant the story, to sell more newspapers, is their obligation. They're obligated to try to sell more newspapers, even if ethics, out the window, integrity, out the window. Do you recall, and I'm sure you do, the day that the Cubs traded for Milton Bradley? One of the papers, and I'm 99.9% sure it was the Sun-Times, but it's irrelevant to the story. One of the papers, if you remember the picture, probably both papers and the Daily Herald, I don't know. Remember the picture they put? Jay Zawoski, we didn't talk about this before the show. What was on the front page of the papers the day that the Cubs made the trade in the wintertime? Dead of winter, Cubs make a trade for, sign free agent Milton Bradley. What was it? Was
Milton Bradley throwing a water cooler or equipment or something, a tantrum.
Right.
Picture of a tantrum.
Because, number one, that sells papers. Milton Bradley spoke to the media after the game last night. We don't have it for a number of reasons. It was one reporter. He can't be everywhere with his microphone, but it was on TV. It was on Comcast Sportsnet. Milton Bradley, so well-spoken. This guy, well thought out, well-spoken, and we're still endeavoring to try to get some of his sound bites. Milton Bradley, who's portrayed as a lunatic, which between the white lines he might be. Here's a quote today from Bradley talking about Zambrano and his emotions. Quote, "It's the gift and the curse," unquote. It's the gift and the curse at the same time. It gives you the extra edge, that presence out there that makes people want to follow you. But at the same time, it could be a hindrance that cost you suspensions. Let me tell you, there was a play. This Milton Bradley's a pretty sharp cookie. 2 days ago, he was on second base. There was a line drive back up the box, caught. And where was he? Retreating. Actually, I went through for base hit. I misspoke. Bradley's on second base, line drive through the box. He heads back towards second, so he's not doubled off. And then only makes it to third. Juan Pierre, a great ball player, got doubled off yesterday in the Dodger game. He's hitting .404. The point is, Bradley's a pretty sharp. How about yesterday? Bradley, did you see this play where there was a long fly ball to deep right field in the ninth inning? Sanchez was on first. He's running around the base and thought it was a home run. The wind blows it by the curve of the well back towards the right field foul line at Wrigley Field. The long drive is caught. Drive was hit by Morgan in the ninth inning. Caught. And what Bradley did next was unbelievable. Without knowing, because there was no way, I watched it, he didn't know the runner was running. He turns around and throws the ball blind back to first base for the double play. Unless a bleacher bum yelled, "Throw to first, Milton!" Let's go to the phones. Bob Brenly, what do you say?
Carlos was ejected for supposedly bumping home plate umpire Mark Carlson. Carlson is moving into Zambrano right there.
But that's not a good story.
Contact is made, and only then does Carlos push back with his right arm. Hopefully Major League Baseball will review this video very carefully.
I doubt it.
Carlos did not instigate that contact. Mark Carlson was moving into him.
WGN Channel 9. Thank you, Bob Brenly. But that's not a good story. Umpire instigates and agitates. No, that's not a good story. Carlos, El Toro Loco en la Cabeza, Zambrano.
Scoreheads win a trip with us to see the Southsiders take on the Brew Crew up in Milwaukee. It's a special Mully and Haley Boys Night Out on the road. Just listen Monday through Friday morning at 7:20 for your chance to win. Presented by Potawatomi Bingo Casino and The Score.
And now, Murph's Big Play of the Week from Brown's Chicken Sandwiches and Catering.
Oh, Murph's Big Play of the Week. Are you kidding me? Cristobal Huey last night put Jay Zawoski in radio hell. He stood on his head. Huey with 44 stops, including an unbelievable kick the leg up in the air. Great year for the Blackhawks. Welcome back, Murph, with you. Blackhawk hockey coming up in the next hour. Jim Callis from Baseball America. Right now we're talking about Is it important to the story? Because I haven't heard much of this, and that's great. Everybody can slant the story the way they wish. That's the beauty of the media, be it print, electronic, email, anything, radio, over-the-airs, broadcasting, anything. The beauty is everybody can have their own slant, which is fine. I've probably been guilty of slanting things. I'm sure I have. Our text results are in. Let's see what you say. Question is, the question was this. Is it important to today's story, yes or no, that the umpire bumped Zambrano first? And I can't imagine how 23% could say no, but that's fine. You think it's not important to the story. Well, that's fine. Sox fans can say anything they want. I'm surprised, frankly, that we have this many Cub fans listening today. 77% Cub fans today say, yes, it's important to the story. I would imagine Sox fans say no and Cub fans say yes. How can you say no, it's not important to the story, that the umpire instigated, initiated, and agitated? Now, here's the way, and everyone on hold, I apologize, I'll get right to you. Here's the way the three newspapers in Chicago presented who touched whom first, all right? Sun-Times today, Chris DeLuca. Let's see how Chris handled it. Quoting Chris DeLuca, Zambrano was ejected after making contact with plate umpire Mark Carlson. Now, factually, that's correct. He made contact with Carlson when Carlson bumped into him. So I guess you could say in a court of law, well, he made contact with him. Yeah, when the guy ran into me. Then, many paragraphs later, DeLuca will say this. Replays showed umpire Carlson's momentum appeared to take him into Zambrano. Now think about how pretty crafty wordsmith Chris DeLuca, an excellent writer. Listen how he phrases it. This is his out, as they say. Replays, of course, the replay could be wrong. That's his out number one. Replays showed the umpire's momentum. Momentum. What does that mean? He took he couldn't help himself. The umpire's momentum, next word, appeared. Out number 3, Chris, nice. To take him into Zambrano. Nowhere does he say the umpire hit him first. That wouldn't make for a good story from the paper that had Bradley knocking stuff over and, the day that he was signed. Let's see how the Tribune handles it. Paulie Sullivan. Here we go. Zambrano made contact with the umpire, which again is factually true. Sort of leaves out in your mind, well, who hit who first? Zambrano made contact with the umpire, putting his shoulder into Mark Carlson. Well, he did, second. So factually, Paul, I got to say it's factual. Does it tell the whole story? In my opinion, no. That's just my opinion. Let's see. Oh, by the way, giving away some Sox tickets between now and 2 o'clock. Next time you hear this, be the very first caller to our contest phone line, 591-6700. 2 tickets, Sox, Wednesday, June 3rd, courtesy of Score Sports Radio 670. That's us and the Chicago White Sox. Let's look at the Daily Herald. How does Bruce Miles handle this? Zambrano argued vehemently with umpire Carlson before the two men made contact near the shoulders. Zambrano was immediately ejected. Now, I would have to say that Miles is the most accurate of all three. Zambrano vehemently argued with umpire Carlson before the two men made contact near the shoulders. Now, listen to this. Zambrano was ejected immediately. Has anyone talked about the fact that as soon as the umpire nudged himself into Zambrano, and Zambrano nudged back, he was immediately thrown out of the game. That's why Zambrano, in what I thought was one of the great moves of all time, gave the heave-ho to the umpire. He threw him out of the game and said, you hit me first, you're out of the game. Steve-O in Arlington Heights has been patient on the score. Hi, Steve-O.
Hey, what's up, Murph?
Thanks for holding. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I wish these umpires would go back to the old school umpires like Country Joe West and Bruce Fleming, because they would have just turned around and walked away. And if they wanted to throw them out, they don't have to give them the old big heave-ho like Rob Drake did last year to Pinella at U.S. Cellular Field. They're looking for showtime, especially when Milton Bradley was, I believe, with the Padres. That umpire was suspended. They got a little blurb on paper.
Yeah, he was suspended, and then the way that the papers here phrased it when Bradley got here, Bradley injured his knee arguing with the umpire. The actual fact of the matter is Bradley was restrained by his own manager and thrown down to the ground, and that's when he hurt the knee. Yes, he was arguing with the umpire, but he didn't hurt the knee the way it was phrased in the sense that arguing with the umpire, he, twisted his knee and tore his ACL or whatever. No, they never said that, hurt his ACL. Never said that. It was when the umpire threw him down is when it happened.
Exactly.
And Joe West, I got to run. Thanks, David. Joe West still got the short fuse. I'll never stick up for Joe West. Back in a flash, Trevor, Tom, Tony will be my first three callers. And when we return also, I'm going to challenge our newspapers in this town tomorrow to print the story regarding what a White Sox employee said today on the Score about Carlos Zambrano. And if our papers don't cover this tomorrow, then I will have been proven to be correct when I say the newspapers here have no integrity. We'll find out. Sports Radio 670. Thank you very much, Mark. Everyone on hold. I apologize, first of all, the three hold of the longest. Trevor, Tom, and Tony, I'll get to you momentarily. But since my guy Mark Grody just hit on the story, I want you to hear a little something we worked on in case you missed it. Miss a little, miss a lot. And Coop does a great job, comes on to Score very often. White Sox pitchers coach Don Cooper. In fact, when he phoned in today, it was interesting, Jared, with Mully and Hanley. They were in Kansas City with the day off. They arrived, he said, at 5 a.m. in Kansas City, and they were already out golfing. Probably didn't even get a quick little cat nap because this was pretty early. So Coop on with Mully and Hanley, and boy, oh boy, he does not like Carlos Zambrano's actions. He does not like this at all. Hey, tell them to keep out of White Sox business. Remember when they used to, who used to always say, tell them to keep out of White Sox business? Well, you know what?
Quite honestly, this is starting to piss me off.
Yeah. Now, we had to edit and beep a few things out here, okay? Because we are regulated, as you well know. We are not allowed to have certain words, some of which I'm not even sure we can or we can't anymore. So we bleep. When in doubt, bleep it out, right? Cool. Now, every time you hear a bleep, it's because you used a word that we just found out a new word is illegal by the Federal Communications Commission, and it's the word astronaut. Now, I don't know why, but, we don't question because they're the high ruler, the FCC. They have mandated that you cannot say the word. Wait, I just said it, didn't I? Oh, boy. You'll have to bleep me from now on when I say astronaut. There's another fine for me coming my way. Get the checkbook out, Dana. All right, here's the soundbite. And remember, every time you hear a beep, it's Don Cooper calling Carlos Zambrano an astronaut.
Have you ever had to deal with that? Have you ever had to deal with a guy that had that kind of, and we were talking about...
To tell you the truth, we wouldn't stand for it.
Okay, good.
We wouldn't stand for it. I'm going to be honest with you. We're not going to have on our team. Okay. See, you probably hope you can block that one out, but, no, we're not going to allow that. You're just not going to allow it. Enough's enough, You get excited when you in there. And we're not going to let you destroy the clubhouse, the dugout, anything like that. Hey, he did what he did, but that ain't going to happen for us.
Ryan's in Wrigley. Hey, Ryan.
If my memory serves me correctly, wasn't there a game last year where Mark Burley absolutely beat the crap out of the water jug in the dugout with a bat?
He beat up the Gatorade jug, yeah. No, he beat up a space heater. I'm sorry,
That's
Ryan.
Right.
He beat up a space heater.
So what in the world is Coop talking about?
To tell you the truth, we wouldn't stand for it.
Okay, good.
We wouldn't stand for it. We're not going to have
He beat up the Gatorade jug, yeah. No, he beat up a space heater. I'm sorry,
That's
Ryan.
Right.
He beat up a space heater.
We wouldn't stand for it. We're not going to have
What in the world is Coop talking about?
We're not going to have
Oh, boy. He said astronaut about, 5 times? No. I'm not here to tell the Sun-Times or the Tribune what to do. Because Lord knows they have their own problems. Even in spite of a full-page ad taken out today in the Sun-Times by the national newspaper industry, who says that they've never sold more newspapers, no one's ever read more newspapers, and how kids 25 years old love buying the newspaper.
Oh, that's not funny.
The newspapers can do anything they want because they have to stay in business. They owe it to their stockholders. But I'm going to right now tell you that you're not going to read about this tomorrow in the Tribune or the Sun-Times, because right now they have more sport piling on the Cubs. And in any other town or in any other era, the headline would be this tomorrow. I'm waiting to see if the Sun-Times Daily News or Tribune tomorrow runs this story. White Sox pitching coach calls Carlos Zambrano an astronaut. Actually, the newspapers, they can be more creative. They could put like A/naught, right? Or like astro blank. So let's just wait and see if some of the fine... Jay Zawowski, do me a favor. During the next break, pull up the names of the sports editors of the Chicago Tribune, the Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Daily Herald. If you find the editor of the Daily News, you really have a scoop. And I just want to see if those fellas or gals want to make anything out of something that happens that's not, something to pile on the Cubs. Let's go back to the phone lines. And text results continue to roll in. Is it important to the story that the umpire initiated and instigated and agitated by being the first one to make contact with Carlos Zambrano? That seems to not be a good part of the story. That doesn't seem to drive sales to say, the umpire hit Zambrano first. You don't hear that.
Carlos was ejected for supposedly bumping home plate umpire Mark Carlson. Carlson is moving into Zambrano right there. Contact is made, and only then does Carlos push back with his right arm. Hopefully Major League Baseball will review this video very carefully.
No, they won't.
Carlos did not instigate that contact. Mark Carlson was moving into him.
Great job there, Bob Brenly, WGN-TV Channel 9. Let's go to Trevor. Tom Tony have been holding the longest. Hello, Trevor.
Hey, Murph. Thanks, man. I gotta jump in on this.
Sure.
It's not important to the story. It is the story. These wordsmiths that paint, they did well to write a story, but they did nothing to paint an actual factual image of what happened. A bang-bang play at the plate happens more than 1,000 times a year, and you're going to get players involved in those plays that are going to be angry. The fact is Zambrano did nothing to get ejected until that chump of an umpire threw a shoulder into Z. At that point, he was rung up immediately, and that ticked Z off. And I contend everything else that happened beyond that point was that umpire's fault.
Yeah, and everything else.
Everything.
And you're right. Everything after the time when the umpire hit him first, nudged him, call it whatever you want, make contact. Look what happened to Bradley when the bill of the cap touched the bill of the cap. So anytime you make contact or touch, you're in big trouble. So question number one, Trevor, what will the league do to suspend, or let's make this easier, will the league suspend the home plate umpire for initiating contact with the player?
Here's what I do believe is going to happen. He's going to get, 15, 16, 18 games.
No.
Plea bargain it down to maybe miss 2 starts, but that'll be very public. What won't be public at all is what happens to that umpire. We're never going to know. If we do, it may be a couple sentences during, the next time this crew is around.
Well, I would say it's going to be 4 games once they come to their senses at MLB, and he doesn't maybe 5 games he'll miss a start by pushing them back 1 day. Now, the other thing you said, which was most interesting to me, everything you said was interesting, but Trevor, you said the newspapers were not factual.
They didn't paint a factual image of it.
I know that and you know that, but here's how the world has changed. Now, you sound like a relatively younger fella. No one's older than I am.
Mid-30s.
All right,
not so.
Well, you're very perceptive, though, for your age, but here's how the world has changed. Facts no longer matter to a dying industry. No, and it's a sad statement. And soon it's going to come to our government and politics, and you won't ever read or know if you're reading the truth when it comes to corruption, who's paying off. You look at our governors over the years. Someone said something to me that could be wrong, could be right, Trevor. They said all 50 states have the same corruption as Illinois. Well, Blagojevich, right down the line, Ryan, all the way back to Powell, back with the shoeboxes of money when I was a kid. But here's the key. The Tribune and Sun-Times, they were great watchdog newspapers for the citizens. They had whistleblowers. They had investigative reporters. The other 49 states don't have that, perhaps, as heavy. Now, what's going to happen when there's no newspapers? You think this is bad when you're going to not get the facts on an umpire and a player? Wait till government runs amok with corruption because there's going to be no one but some blogger sitting around making up crap.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thanks, bud.
All right. Appreciate it. Was that another Murph moment? Well, that's coming up later. Tom from Mundelein is now on Sports Radio 670. Next time you hear Hawk Harrelson, call our contest line. I got a pair of Sox tickets for you. Hello, Tom. Thanks for holding.
No problem, Murph. Murph, on the Zambrano thing, I was watching the game on TV, and the first time, when it originally happened, it looked like Zambrano bumped him. When it went back and showed the slow play, the umpire was turning to his right. Zambrano was turning to his left.
Inadvertent contact, you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is the umpire, when he called the guy out, should have just turned around and walked away.
Well, that's always a possibility for an umpire to just walk away. That's what they used to do instead of trying to agitate.
Can I say one thing on Cooper?
Yeah.
Next time he's on your show?
He's never on my show.
Okay.
But any time he's on the other shows, maybe they're... Well, I doubt it. Maybe someone's listening.
Could somebody tell him at least Zambrano's throw hit the seventh planet?
Hey, how about this? How about Jim Tomei last year when he threw all the cups and stuff out of the dugout? Do you remember that one?
Well, Tomei has a bad back, so they didn't go far.
Nicely done. Thank you. Jay Zawaski, you looked that up, you Googled up, what'd you find there? Tomei?
Yes. Oh, yeah, 2008, Jim Tomei threw the cups onto the field.
Okay.
Yep.
He was an astronaut that day, or what?
Apparently.
Let's go to... Tony, hey, Coop didn't have any sleep. They flew from L.A., landed, and went golfing. So, sleep deprivation. Tony, Lake Geneva has been the most patient guy in the world. I apologize for the long wait. Hi, Tone.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you for holding.
Murph, it's really hard for me how you can sanction this guy's action.
Well, see, there's where you're wrong. I know you've been holding for 40 or 30 minutes. But, well, no. You will get a chance. Will you let me interact, or do you want to just filibuster?
Go.
I never sanctioned it. Go ahead.
Well, all I know is I was sitting there with my two little leaguers yesterday watching the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when he proceeded to go into his tantrum, which hasn't been the first time he's done this, he swung the bat and this and that, and one of my sons said...
Now, that was in the dugout.
He would hit the umpire with the bat. I wish he'd whack his head.
Oh, yeah. Well, your kids are better than that. Let me ask you this, Tony.
No, they aren't.
Well, sure, I know. I have more faith in you and give you more credit as a father. Let me ask you this, Tony. When he swung at the Gatorade, if you were at the ballpark sitting behind the dugout, you wouldn't have even seen it, would you?
No.
Okay. Now, should the league... let me ask you this, because you raise a great point, Tony, in all seriousness. Should the league react to what a guy does in his own dugout as far as suspension? That's an interesting question you pose.
I think it's a bad stimulus for the children to see this.
So...
I don't care where he does it.
Right.
If he's doing it in public view, it's a bad stimulus.
Now, Tony, this might surprise you, but I agree with everything you've said. But you've missed, unfortunately, the topic. Thank you for the call. Da-da. We are the Thinking Fan Station. Muse Radio 670. The topic was, should the media be portraying the facts or what is a good story to sell papers? Is it important to the story that the ump bumped him first? That's what I'm talking about, Tony. No one condones his actions. Of course, you can make the argument that if the ump hadn't bumped him first, there never would have been any actions. It'd be interesting to see the suspension or non-suspension for one Mark Carlson. And I want to see the Chicago papers tomorrow with this headline. White Sox pitching coach Don Cooper, will they say on the score to give us some nothing like free publicity. White Sox pitching coach Don Cooper on the score calls Carlos Zambrano an astronaut. Murphapalooza back in a flash. Who wants to be an astronaut? Who would know that word was not legal on the air? I'm in big trouble. Oh, the Hawks music. Heartbreaker last night, but yet Jay Zawoski, my in-house Blackhawks expert, Murph's producer, biggest Blackhawks fan I know. Even when it was 0-0 in the first period, 0-0 at the end of 2, 0-0, Detroit goes up 1. I knew the Hawks were going to tie, but I just didn't feel good about it. What a year, but I don't even think it was, well, for you, was it a heartbreaker last night, Jay Zawoski, or did you sort of feel that it wasn't just going to happen?
Yeah, I was heartbroken for about a good 5 minutes there after that goal went in, but then you start to think about the season and just the improvement they've made over the last 2 years, and you start to feel really good. And you know that in a couple years the Hawks are going to be right there celebrating and not touching the trophy just like the Red Wings did. Are you in radio hell today with your goalkeeper? No, I don't think so. I said that they should do Huey.
How many stops? 44?
44 saves. He was unbelievable.
How about the one where he's sprawled out butterfly-like and he kicks the right ankle up in the air and stops the puck?
Yeah.
Now, Jay, you're the expert here in the room and quite expert. Did Huey, was that just, of course there's always a little luck involved, don't get me wrong, but did he knew that they were going to try to lift the puck up and he had to get the leg up in the air when he was sprawled flat, right? I mean.
Oh, yeah, that was an intentional move. That was,
Could you believe that?
When I saw it, I was, because I was, as you saw some of the Red Wings fans celebrating, and I was hitting my forehead.
Yeah, I thought it was in.
Yeah, I thought it was over.
There was some pipe hits, the crossbar, the upright, whatever you guys call them there, to post the pipe, whatever.
Yeah.
And but you just knew it was going to be. Here's the thing about the season. No one thought it would go so long, but yet it ended so quick. It's just, long, almost, 99 games, 100 games, whatever I think I read they played this year, maybe 99. And then the sudden death, the sudden dagger. Eddie Olczyk on with Mully and Hanley. Was this morning, right?
Yes, it was.
Eddie Olczyk looking ahead.
I think that, you do have to look at, you got a lot of young players, but maybe now you got to start looking at some older guys. Maybe you got to look at some guys that, maybe have been around a little bit longer and plug them in for a year, make sure they're the right veteran guys that are not on their own agenda. So I think those are the things that I would be looking at. But again, it's very, very difficult in the salary cap era to make sure that you're not overpaying or you're not over-evaluating your own talent, not paying guys, overpaying them because, they're your own.
Wow, not overpaying your own guys. Interesting. Eddie O right there on the score. And that'll be up to Dale Talon, Stan Bowman, and all the brain trust where to throw the dough around. I think the salary cap's coming down, but it comes down for everybody, though. So the water lowers for all the boats. It's Murphapalooza. Welcome back, hour number 2. Oh, man, where do you go? Where do you stop? Where do you start? Instigate, agitate. Let's relax a little bit. Oh, I got my new copy right here, Baseball America. I love it, like a comfortable old pair of shoes. I grew up with Baseball America. Celebrity line ringing. Let's punch it up. Executive editor, it's our guy over at BaseballAmerica.com, Jim Callis. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Murph, how are you doing? I guess if it's a comfortable pair of shoes, I'm the cobbler, I guess.
Oh, nicely done. In fact, I've been with Baseball America so long, they didn't even have BaseballAmerica.com back in the old days. When did you start .com? And because you guys have been a trendsetter.
Well, we had a couple, brief, short stints on the internet, in 96, and I think there's no in 98, but really, since the form we're in now, from 2000 forward, so.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, I still love getting in the mail my Baseball America. You can check them out, subscriptions, etc. at BaseballAmerica.com. All right, Jim Callis, you guys not only cover high school, college, the draft, the minor leagues, the major leagues, you cover it all at Baseball America, and sort of lost in our shuffle today between the Blackhawks' great season ending last night and all hell breaking loose, depending what side you look at, the umpire or Zambrano. No one's talking about the fact that the White Sox made a major move, yet it was a minor league move. Tell us about moving the kid up from AA to AAA. What's that all about, James?
Well, I think we've known since spring training that Gordon Beckham is not that far away from helping the White Sox at all. Mm-hmm. And, Josh Fields has been struggling. Obviously, Alexi Ramirez and Chris Getz have been struggling. And we have Beckham at third base for right now. The White Sox, I think are getting very frustrated. Kenny Williams and Ozzie Guillen with several fronts, and I mean, you're not going to be able to keep Gordon Beckham's bat out of the big league lineup, especially with the way a lot of those hitters in that lineup have been performing.
A shortstop by trade, which means not unlike a Sandberg type of guy. Not to compare him, don't get me wrong, but he can move to third or second or play short. Ex-Ram, Alexi Ramirez, he makes dazzling plays at shortstop. So it would seem to be the logical move. Do you agree, Jim, to, leave Ex-Ram at short? And so you're looking at Josh Fields maybe at third or second base opening over there. But they're going to play him at third base at AAA Beckham.
Yeah, and I think the fact they're playing him at third tells you they're looking at third. Because, if he was going to play second, we're talking about a guy who was a shortstop throughout his college career. Mm-hmm. If you're going to get ready to maybe put him into Chris Getz's spot in the lineup, well, then you'd have Beckham playing second base. So I think if you're playing him at third in AAA, you're thinking third in the big leagues. You're right. Long term, maybe you want him at short and Alexi Ramirez in center if you can't find a center fielder. But defensively, Alexi Ramirez is a better play as shortstop. And, it's not like Josh Fields is hitting. It's not like Chris Getz is hitting.
Visiting with our guy, Jim Callis, over at BaseballAmerica.com, and Vuk is on your side. Jeff Vukovich, Murph's nationwide insurance agent of the year. For all your insurance needs, Vuk is there for you. Park Ridge. He's a family guy, sports guy, 30 years into business, stable, solid as rock. Jeff Vukovich. Are you okay on your insurance, James? You okay?
I'm doing okay.
All right. Let's look at Jake Fox. I can't tell you, Cubs minor leaguer brought up yesterday, pinch double, knocks in a run. I can't tell you, and you get emails at Baseball America, I can't tell you how many phone calls, emails. Murph, over the last year now, when are they going to bring up Jake Fox? They brought him up. What do you think his role, how about the kid? Comes off the bench, hits a double off the right center field wall at Wrigley Field in a situation where you're still tacking on runs. He knocks in the fifth run to put him up 5-2. It's a great way to get into the big leagues there. He had a cup of coffee in September.
Yeah, he did. And, it's tough. There are people with the Cubs who swear that if Jake Fox played every day, he would hit 25 home runs. They think the power is legit. His year in the minors was ridiculous. Micah Hoffmeyer had a ridiculous year in the minors last year, and Jake Fox was outperforming that. The problem is he's just not a good defensive player.
Right.
The only position I think he could play close to adequately is probably first base, but we've talked about that. Derek Lee makes a lot of money, and you've got Hoffmeyer waiting in line. Third base, with Ramirez hurt, I think he'd be kind of rough at third, and we saw Pinella's quotes where basically Alan Trammell's going to check Jake Fox out in infield for a few days, so I don't think they're sold on that. Outfield, I don't think he moves well enough to really play. You got Soriano and Milton Bradley making a lot of money anyway, but it's, he's caught in the past. He's not a good catcher. You can't do that. He's really a DH, and, unfortunately he's in the wrong league, but I think they're looking for somebody to give the club a spark. And, the thing is, they have not been getting offense. Their best offensive team at this point might be to put Fox at third and Fondo at second and just, suffer some defensively. But, they aren't scoring runs either, so they need to do something.
You know what would be ideal, but it is not an ideal world, as we know. Let's say, now, what is there? We just looked this up here. I have 2 years remaining after this year, Jim, on Derek Lee, and there's a lot of dough involved. Derek Lee is not the player that he was, and many players decline as they get older for whatever reason.
Plus, you get the wrist injuries. I think that's hard to get your power back, too.
Since he collided with Furcal way back 3 years ago, now I want to say he has not been the same guy. You're exactly right. The ideal situation would be this. A straight platoon, now work with me, a straight platoon of Hoffmeyer and Jake Fox at first base. There you would only have Fox playing every fourth day if you face a lefty every 3, 4, 5 days. You would have Hoffmeyer in there more often. You'd always have Fox on the bench. He would be then your emergency. Get this right now. Your emergency catcher, third base, first base, left field, right field, extra inning game, double switches all day long. But the Derek Lee contract is going to make that, I'm not going to say impossible, but almost impossible.
I think you've hit the nail right on the head. If you could, I'm not trying to even disrespect Derek Lee, but if you could spend his money elsewhere, I think a Hoffmeyer, Fox platoon at first base would give you probably, to be honest, maybe you don't hit for as high of an average. I think, you wouldn't have as good defense, but you'd get more power than you're getting out of Derek Lee right now. And would the team be better off? Yeah, it would, but you hit the nail on the head. It's awfully tough. Especially, we're talking about a first baseman with Derek Lee. Most teams have a good first baseman or a guy who's cheap. cheap and somewhat productive, but I mean, you still have, one more year on this contract after this one for $13 million.
Oh, you have it as one more year left?
I have him as 06 to 2010.
All right, we had it for 2 more years. We'll double-check. Maybe different sources have...
I'm looking at the Koch baseball contract online, but they're also showing the old contract ran out in 06, so I don't know if the first year ripped up the last year of that. So that might be off. He might have 2 years left.
I'm sorry. You're exactly right. I thought it was this year plus 2. Jay Zawoski's holding up 2. I thought he was giving me either a peace sign or a victory. Okay, yeah. So 1 more year to go. You can maybe start thinking about, well... I don't know. That's a dilemma.
1 more year might be more to do, something you could do. The thing that too makes him attractive a little bit is let's say somebody needs a left-hand hitting first baseman. You trade him, and then they
trade Hawk Power.
Well, I'm saying you could trade Derek Lee maybe in the off season. Eat a little bit of his salary, but you also the team that gets him, he's a little bit more valuable because when he becomes a free agent, you get some draft picks for him possibly. So. And
let's go to a rumor visiting Final Minute with Jim Callis, Baseball America. Joe Cowley does a great job in the Sun-Times, White Sox beat reporter. And he, way at the end, and this is why you have to read the whole piece, at the very end he says, White Sox fans, you can put the Seattle Mariners left-hander Eric Bedard on the radar. Not after now that fake, this is me speaking, the fake Jake Peavy thing, was blown up. That was never going to happen. But
that was fun for a day, though, wasn't it?
But that's it, a new TV quiz show, Fun for a Day, where you make up a trade that can't occur. But Eric Bedard makes more sense. Same reason you just pointed out. Derek Lee with 1 year left, it makes it more palatable for the team acquiring him for a number of reasons. Eric Bedard, I believe I have this one right, I think is on his walk year also, and he's been pitching pretty well. That would be a hell of a pickup by Kenny.
It would be, yeah. I will say this about Kenny, and I'm wrong on that team. I always think they're going to be good when they're bad, or vice versa. But I don't think there's any doubt he's the most aggressive general manager in baseball. Nobody saw him lying in the weeds on TV, and he pulled that off. That guy will do everything it takes to make his team better. I mean, I think that guy is so underrated as a GM, and Bedard would be a great pickup.
This hour of The Score brought to you by Menards. All right. I'll leave you with this. The Cubs are going to they'll lose Zambrano for some stretch of games. Harden right now is on the DL. You already have Wells and Marshall in the rotation. It almost looks now like they're going to have to find another fifth starter. That'll kick Marshall up to 3. And, Marshall will be 4, Wells will be 5, which so far hasn't been half bad, but it's a long season. What do they have ready to be that emergency now, the 5th starter, or if Zambrano gets the suspension?
Yeah, he's going to be out for the day. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll see more of Randy Wells.
Well, he's already going to be replacing Harden for at least 2-3 more starts.
You're right. So we're looking at Dempster, Lilly, Marshall, Wells, and
who?
My guess is.
Do they have anybody else at Iowa?
I mean, you got not a real top guy. I mean, my guess is, they'll handle that, Murph, is whoever's turn it is to start that day in Iowa, they'll bring that guy up as kind of, if the guy's on the 40-man roster. I mean, I think Mitch Atkins on the 40-man roster.
Samardzija?
I think it would be tough to throw Samardzija out there as a starter when he really hasn't done it this year. I mean, how many innings could you reasonably expect out of him? So. I think, Ascanio's a guy who's started in the past, but again,
he's not stretched.
Yeah, I mean,
or is he? Yeah.
Those guys aren't stretched out. So I think what they'll do is it'll basically be, since, Zambrano's only going to be a game, my guess is it'll be a guy on the 40-man roster whose start coincides.
You say that Zambrano, your guess is he'll miss one start?
I meant one start.
Yeah. Which interesting, if it's just a 4-game suspension for a pitcher, you might not even miss any time.
Yeah, but the crazy thing, it's so goofy how they do it.
It's wrong.
They'll suspend him for 6 or 7 games. But he'll appeal, and they'll reduce it by 1 game, but it'll still be. They'll make it long enough so they can reduce it by a game or 2, but he'll still miss a start.
But a 5-game suspension really means you only push him back 1. You only miss a start if it's 9 games or more. You see what I mean?
I see what you're saying. You could just push everybody back a day. Yeah,
you maneuver it. Right. Unless the starting pitcher is hit for 9 days, he does not technically miss 1 start.
No, you're right. You were right on Samardzija, Murph. I forgot. He's been starting in AAA and for the Cubs. So I think him or Mitch Atkins is probably your best bet.
All right, hey, great job, Jim. We'll let you get on to your busy day at BaseballAmerica.com like a comfortable old pair of slippers. How's that?
There you go. I'll cobble some more for you.
All right, my cobbler, Jim Callis. Thank you, buddy.
Take care, Murph.
Appreciate it very much. Murphapalooza. Driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. All right, let's get a little Blackhawk talk going. Then at 1:30, we'll get back on the baseball beat. Blackhawks fans, How was that season? Successful? I like to hear someone call and say, it's not successful if you don't win the World Series, if you don't win the NBA championship, if you don't win the Super Bowl. It's not successful if you don't win the Stanley Cup. Is that right? We're going to talk with Tribune Blackhawks beat reporter Chris Cook next, and in-house Blackhawk expert Jay Zawoski. Sports Radio 670, The Score. Murph on the score. It still sounds great. All right, text me right now. Y for yes, N for no. Very simple, Blackhawks fans. Was this a successful season? I want to see a 100% why. Yes. I can't imagine. There's going to be folks out there, there's going to be fans like you that say, if you don't win it all, it's not successful. So I want to take a quick survey here. Chris Cook's going to join us in 10 seconds from the Tribune. He said he'd phone right in. 644-6767 is our phone number, but text me right now, please. 67011. Y for yes, N for no. Just a basic question. Was this a successful season for the Blackhawks? Celebrity line ring. There's a shot at a goal. Not enough last night. Let's go to Chris Cook at the Tribune. Hey, Chris. How are you, buddy?
Good, Murph. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine and appreciate it. I know you've been traveling out of the suitcase there for about 6, 7, 8 months. It was the season that went longer than we dreamed, but it ended faster than we hoped, right?
Yeah, it really was a long, memorable journey, wasn't it? And it was kind of stunning the way it ended. That wild bounce off the backboards there in Detroit. And, you know, I think you're probably going to ask me if I think it's a successful season. Yeah. And, you know, I don't think there's any question successful. I mean, you know, you're right. A lot of guys say unless you win the last one, you know, you're not successful. But look what the Blackhawks accomplished. They went from a team that was just hoping to make the playoffs to not only reaching the playoffs, but securing the home ice advantage, winning 2 rounds, you know, playing the Wings pretty tough in the conference finals for the first time since 1995, you know, selling out the United Center every single game, really participating in the Winter Classic, which was, you know, like a dream day for a lot of people. So I don't think there's any question this has been a success.
Hey, Chris, you're a guy that's with the Blackhawks from day one in camp, with them all. You see the ebbs and the flows like any season in any sport. It's unbelievable. I've never been a beat reporter. Hell, I've never been in a locker room. But it's got to be for the players and certainly for you. But the players, it's got to be such a long, gut-wrenching season with the highs and the lows. What was the biggest low this year, or were there any?
Well, I think for a lot of people, I would think that the firing of Dennis Savard was probably a low. I mean, a lot of the players, you know, took that personally. They you know, basically you can't fire the whole team, so you have to fire the head coach. I think a lot of guys were upset. I mean, I'll never forget a couple of days later, you know, talking and seeing him tear up while he talked about Dennis Savard, and those guys really cared for him. So if there was a low, that was probably it.
As far as Dennis Savard, it's very rare. You've been around sports, all sports. Your father, a great, great reporter that I followed all his life, Chris, in his sports life. Let me ask you this. As far as when teams let go the manager or the head coach, have you ever seen a team do what McDonough and the Hawks did to keep Dennis Savard? I don't know the details, if he's on a payment, if he's a payroll guy, same as he may. I don't care about that. But to bring him back as like an ambassador, other teams don't fire their head coach and bring him back immediately, do they?
No, I mean, that just goes to show you how special the Dennis Savard meant to that organization. And it was a nice move by McDonough and, you know, Rocky Wirtz, but I would say that even more so it was a classy move by Dennis Savard. I mean, you're talking about an organization that fired you after 4 games or 5 games into the season. What are they, 1-2-1? And, you know, to be fired like that and to, you know, just take a little bit of time off and then come back and be an ambassador for the team and show up around the United Center. I think that was a very classy move by Dennis Savard.
Very well put. We'll slide a quick phone call in. Chris Cook probably for the first time in 6 months going to be able to go to the laundry, you know, go to the dentist, get the haircut. He's been busy.
I'm leaving for Detroit tomorrow for the Stanley Cup Final, so not that much laundry's done.
Well, I apologize for putting those nice thoughts. Maybe not that you're looking forward to it, but everybody deserves the time to get to the dentist, they get the haircut, and go to the cleaners. Let's go to Palatine, Illinois. Caller Chris is on with Chris Squared. Hey, buddy, how you doing, Chris?
Hey, Murph, Dennis, how you guys doing?
Good. Jump in with Chris Cook at the Trib.
Chris, I have a question. Joe Quenneville, after that loss last night, now is 6-20 against Detroit in the playoffs in his career. Is he the guy that is going to bring a Stanley Cup to Chicago?
Yeah, I really believe that he can. I know that's a pretty horrible number against the Red Wings, but I don't think there's any kind of mental block or anything there. You're talking about some really good Detroit teams. They've won some cups here, so it's tough to blame Quenneville for that. I think that the Hawks are a player or two away, and I think they have the right head coach for the job. So, yeah, I think you're looking at a team that if Dale Talon can make the correct moves, can keep this team together once he runs into salary cap problems, not next season but the season after, I think that the Hawks have a legitimate chance to win a Stanley Cup.
All right, Chris.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it very much. Chris Cook, I'll leave you with this as we get the crystal ball, look a little into the future. The Detroit Red Wings next year, with your expert vision and seeing these teams inside out, will they be improving next year? Will it be difficult for their front office to improve a team that's already been so good for so long as they age? Or will it be more difficult for the Blackhawks front office to improve the team? We expect the Hawks to get better just because they're young and they will learn and mature. And the Red Wings are the old school right here. Which team is going to have a tougher time to get better next year as I look to the Western Conference games next year, hopefully with maybe the same two teams again?
Yeah, I think it's, either one's going to be difficult. I think that Dale Talon probably has a better chance to get more improvement because there's more room to improve there. The Wings are already at the top.
Sure.
You're talking about Ken Holland, the general manager of the Wings, is maybe the top GM in possibly all of sports. He really, year after year after year, has been able to maintain this organization at a high level. So I think Dale Talon would be served well to watch what Holland does. But I think Dale will go out and get a guy that he needs, maybe a defenseman, maybe another scorer. He'll sign the guys that he has to. So I think the Hawks have a little more room to improve there. So they'll probably get better, and I think the Wings are probably going to try to maintain.
Hey, Chris, great visiting with you, and thanks for being a friend of the Score here and jumping on a hectic last couple months. Fans, we should always applaud a guy like Chris for doing this. It's on his personal time. Hey, Chris, do you still have some of Dad's pipes? Do you still smoke the pipe like that, or is that not happening these days now that things have changed?
He still smokes it, but I never picked up that habit, no.
I always picture Jerry like that. Thanks a lot, Chris, and after the cup, enjoy your off time, please.
Thanks, Murph. Anytime.
Thank you, sir. Chris Cook, it's Murph. A minute or two late for an update. Hey, when we return, we're going to replay from our very raucous first hour, Don Cooper, who we had to edit and bleep for the FCC because he kept saying the word astronaut, talking about Carlos Zambrano, and going to get back into who touched whom first. Well, the story obviously was the umpire bumped Zambrano first, but that's not the good story necessarily for the sports media, sports radio. Murphapalooza, phone lines are jumping. Didn't even give the phone number. Let's recap. Here's what happened yesterday. At home plate, Bob Brenly, well, he's got a slant on this that you just don't hear too much.
Carlos was ejected for supposedly bumping home plate umpire Mark Carlson. Carlson is moving into Zambrano right there. Contact is made, and only then does Carlos push back with his right arm. Hopefully Major League Baseball will review this video very carefully. Carlos did not instigate that contact. Mark Carlson was moving into him.
Thank you, BB. Bob Brenly, good old WGN Channel 9. Let's go to the phone lines and Joliet Mike. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Murph, what's going on, buddy? It's been a little while since I've been able to talk to you.
Well, I'm right here for you. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, you know what? You stole my thunder because...
There's a lot of thunder. There's plenty of thunder. You tell me what you want to say.
Well, you know what? It's amazing because the play is at home. It's a bang-bang play. 9 times out of 10 when anyone's covering the plate like Z was doing yesterday, he's called out. The two guys are jabber-jawing between one another, and only then, when the umpire clearly, and it's clear as day, hits Zambrano, then he gets the thumb. That's ridiculous.
Well, he bumped, to be totally accurate, you're right, but he bumped Zambrano, who then bumped him, and then the thumb.
Right.
In that order, correct.
Absolutely, and that's stupid. So if let's put it this way, if me and you are walking down the street, you accidentally give me the shoulder, I'm going to hit you back just because that's how it is.
Well, we don't advocate that either. Let's take it to the field of play. You heard Matt Rodewald just now. Basically, is this possible? The umpire bumps you and then punches you and then kicks you and then kicks you again. But if you push the umpire away from you, see, it's a very interesting case. And I'm not saying that Zambrano should not be suspended. He will be for his antics. But what would happen, and this is a crazy what if, don't get me wrong, It's never going to happen. But let's say the umpire just started beating the hell out of Ryan Theriot. Let's say a big umpire, Joe went boom, 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 and Theriot pushed him away. Would Theriot be subject to being penalized for that and being suspended?
Absolutely, because these umpires have this holier-than-thou.
Well, no. This kicks up to Bob Watts. You're right, but Bob Watts, MLB, makes the decision.
Right.
On the suspension.
Right, and it's ridiculous because now every time the Cubs are going to be playing in a big series, Milton Bradley's going to be scrutinized more, Zambrano's going to be scrutinized more. Hey, I tell you, this team needed to have this fire lit up under their asses.
Well, they didn't have any fire. Now they got too much. Hey, John, I'm sorry, Mike and Juliet, I appreciate your call. Call again, Mike.
All right. Absolutely.
All right, buddy, appreciate it very much. See, sometimes you have to go to the extreme end to find what you might want to make the decision on. So, Joe West gets teed off at Ryan Theriot, and he starts punching him behind second. Boom, 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 boom. So what? Theriot, if he pushes Joe West away, he's made contact with the ump. See, where do you draw the line? And if you are going to anticipate that Bud Selig and his crew of reprimanders, led by Bob Watts, if you think for a minute that they're going to come down on his umpire, you're wrong. This Mark Carlson will not, I predict, be suspended. Oh, and this morning, I want to replay this. Everyone on hold, I'll try to get to you real quick. Hang on, everybody. White Sox pitching coach Don Cooper on the score this morning. And as I mentioned earlier, he said, we just got to the golf course. He handed the phone to Ozzie Guillen with Mully and Haley this morning. It was great. They'd flown all night from Los Angeles, the Angels game, got into Kansas City, probably, who knows, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. They're out golfing in the morning. And Coop used a word that we can't use, unfortunately. We can't play it for you, on open air. We are governed by the FCC. So we are going to play this now with the beep, beep, beeps in here. But every time you hear the beep, beep, I'll tell you the word he said was astronaut. So every time you hear the beep, beep, substitute the word astronaut. Here's White Sox pitching coach Don Cooper calling Carlos Zambrano an astronaut.
Have you ever had to deal with that? Have you ever had to deal with a guy that had that kind of, and we were talking about...
To tell you the truth, we wouldn't stand for it.
Okay, good.
We wouldn't stand for it. I'm going to be honest with you. We're not going to have on our team. Okay. See, you probably hope you can block that one out, but, no, we're not going to allow that. You're just not going to allow it. Enough's enough, You get excited, we'll get you in there. And we're not going to let you destroy the clubhouse, the dugout, anything like that. Hey, he did what he did, but that ain't going to happen for us.
Ryan's in Wrigley. Hey, Ryan.
If my memory serves me correctly, wasn't there a game last year where Mark Burley absolutely beat the crap out of the water jug in the dugout with a bat?
He beat up the Gatorade jug, yeah? No, he beat up a space heater. I'm sorry,
That's
Ryan.
Right.
He beat up a space heater.
So what in the world is Coop talking about?
To tell you the truth, we wouldn't stand for it.
Okay, good.
We wouldn't stand for it. We're not going to have
He beat up the Gatorade jug, yeah? No, he beat up a space heater. I'm sorry,
That's
Ryan.
Right.
He beat up a space heater.
We wouldn't stand for it. We're not going to have
What in the world is Coop talking about?
We're not going to have
Damn it.
Man, it's not even July, August, September. It's not even June. Let's go next to, and I think John in Bloomington wants to jump in. This hour of the score brought to you by Menards. Hello, John.
Hey, Murph. This is a White Sox fan giving you some perspective on this.
Well, good. I need it from you. Thank you. Go ahead.
I got to say that was 100% unequivocally the umpire's fault. He instigated the contact, and he was itching to throw Big Z out right after the verbal blow-up. And I got to apologize for Coop on his behalf because the White Sox would love to have a guy with that sort of intensity. He just kind of lost it because Morgan was out at the plate.
Well, Morgan, I saw it as safe, but that's irrelevant to the blow-up, whether he was out or safe. Hey, they already have a guy, Ozzie Guillen. He had to go to anger management once, so they got their own guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, John, good to hear from a Sox fan hitting the ball right down the center of the fairway. Thank you.
All right.
All right, buddy, let's go to, in my opinion. God, you got to say that all the time? Me? Don't have to. John, Carphone Tom is on the score. Hi, Tom.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, sir.
I'm a Sox fan, too, but there isn't a job in America that if you took a baseball bat...
Sports is different. You know, I respect your input, and I want you to stay on the phone. But, Tom, how about in hockey, where two guys start fist fighting? Is that okay in a tavern?
No.
How about where they trip Kobe Bryant while he's running down the court? Is that okay in real life to trip a guy walking past you, running past? No. It is the old oranges and apples. But go ahead.
No. During the game, if somebody runs too hard, and like that hit on the hockey guy the other day, that was a bad hit. It was rough. It's part of the game. You can get suspended for it.
Part of the game. See, that's the operative word. Part of the game. Go ahead.
Well, get a gun and start shooting in the dugout.
I'm waiting for
swinging a baseball bat.
See, I'm with you, Tom. I believe there'll be a day in the NBA. See, if you and I, Tom, could only be writers, comedy writers do they still have Saturday Night Live or Mad TV? You know those shows, Tom? We do a sketch, and here's the sketch: it'd be the NBA Finals, and the teams they're knocking the hell out of each other, and they're taking the 2x4, and then one of the guys reaches down, he pulls out a gun, and just shoots Kobe Bryant, and they give him a flagrant foul, too.
Right.
And he gets back in the game. Yeah, because it's part of the game. You got it. Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Did I turn Tom around, or nah. Too bad Jay's not on, like, the camcorder. What do they call it thing in the morning show with the little mini camera?
The webcam?
The webcam.
Yeah, we need one of those.
Your face we just put it on your face. Like when Caller Tom there?
Yeah.
That was priceless. Paint a picture, Murph. You're a radio guy. McHenry Bob.
Hey, Mike.
Hello, Bob.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, the guy that called in earlier and used Fleming and Country Joe West as an example of two umpires that walked away. My God, were there two bigger astronauts?
No, I like that.
Congratulations. You've just been named the Browns Chicken Caller of the Show.
He used a couple bad examples.
Thanks,
by the way, you're going to Brown. But go ahead. You're right.
I just want to make another point.
Yeah.
Could Lou Piniella been any slower getting out there to separate Zambrano and an umpire? My God almighty, you watch the replay. Where the hell was Piniella? What did he do, trip over his belly coming out of the dugout?
Well, I tell you, you can only be calling the show once, so don't push me to be twice. Now, what is interesting, catcher Gio Soto was standing right there. It's referred to in many of the papers, and if you see the replays, Giovanni Soto opted not to try to de-escalate anything. Now, either A, he was afraid that Carlos was going to punch him out like Barrett, He might be intimidated. He doesn't want to get in the middle of the umping. Or B, maybe he's not all that buddy-buddy with his teammates. Who knows?
You remember when Soto, as a rookie, went up and grabbed Zambrano by his jersey?
That's right.
Do you want to be intimidated by Zambrano?
Do you want to be calling the show 3 times? And hey, hang on, go visit my friends at Browns. It tastes better, all right?
Thanks, Mike.
All right, McHenry Bob. Murphapalooza back in a flash. Hey, for green office supplies that are environmentally friendly, who do you call? Chrissy. For your free catalog of Illinois paper and copier, 630-679-9090. Save money and the environment. I'm driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Hey, Tom Trebelhorn wins Tool of the Week, buddy.
Tomorrow. Now go have another beer. Don't bother.
Congratulations, Aaron Valparaiso won our Sox tickets. Text results, 14% of you said no, it was not a successful hog season. Murph saying thanks, listen, thanks for calling. See you later, everybody.